Welcome to the Inspiring Illustrations channel, a space where we will dive into the origin and historical legacy of African and Black peoples. The Bible contains a rich source of records of ancient civilizations, including the descendants of Ham, such as his sons, Canaan, Mizraim, Cush, and Put, who are grandchildren of Noah. These Black peoples established powerful kingdoms and erected majestic monuments that still leave us in awe today. In this video, you will discover fascinating facts about the origin and history of these various African ethnic groups. Please leave your like, comments, and subscribe to the channel. Our journey begins in the book of Genesis, where we find valuable information about the origins of humanity after the flood. Chapter 10 of the book of Genesis in the Bible presents a detailed list of Noah's lineage, known as the Table of Nations. This list describes the descendants of Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and illustrates how they spread throughout the world after the flood. It is an interesting part of the Bible that provides insights into the origin of many nations and peoples. According to the Bible, after the flood, the only survivors were Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 daughters-in-law. Therefore, it is believed that all current peoples descend from these 3 sons of Noah. The story of Noah and his sons is essential to understand the ethnic diversity that developed over millennia. Today, we will specifically talk about Ham and his lineage. Ham, Noah's second son, is considered the ancestor of Black and African peoples. Ham's story has been studied by many researchers and scholars, and many peoples have records about the origin and history of African peoples. There are many historical evidences that associate Ham with Black peoples and consider him the father of the Black race. The name Ham has Hebrew origins and is believed to mean, to be hot, burned by the sun, or black. The Bible tells us that Ham had 4 sons, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, who were Noah's grandsons. Through him originated African and Black descent. They settled in various parts of northeastern Africa and the Middle East. According to the Bible, Ham's children included Cush, Ethiopia, Mizraim, Egypt, Put, Libya, and Canaan, region that includes present-day Palestine and Israel. Therefore, Hamites settled in these regions and other parts of northeastern Africa and the Middle East. Ham's story begins in Genesis chapter 9, verses 18 to 27. The text says that Noah's sons who left the ark with him were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, with Ham being the father of Canaan. These 3 sons of Noah had descendants who spread throughout the entire world. Noah was a farmer and was the first to plant grapes. One day he drank too much wine, got drunk, and lay naked inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his naked father and went out to tell his brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took a cloak, put it on their shoulders, walked backward, and covered their naked father. They did this looking sideways so as not to see their naked father. When Noah woke up from his drunkenness, he learned what Ham had done. Then he said, "Cursed be Canaan. He will be a slave to his brothers, a miserable slave." And Noah added, "Blessed be the Lord, God of Shem, and may Canaan be his slave. May God make Japheth have dominion over many lands and may his descendants dwell in Shem's camps. And may Canaan be Japheth's slave." From this text about Noah's curse on his grandson Canaan, many comments arose mistaken interpretations without biblical basis with intention to justify a supposed existing curse on Africans' Blacks. It is essential to highlight that Blacks were not cursed, but rather Canaan, father of the Canaanites who lived in the Middle East. He was the one who received Noah's curse, not Africans. It is essential to clarify that interpreting the biblical text as if Africans had been cursed is a grave sin. To better understand the context of Noah's story, I recommend that you watch the video that is appearing at the top of the screen. There is absolutely nothing, no biblical text in all scripture, that suggests any curse on Africans and Blacks, much less anything that justifies slavery. Whenever this text was presented in history from this unfounded assumption without biblical basis, it was an act of bad faith in the service of obscure interests. This occurred to justify a series of injustices, such as the slavery of black-skinned Africans, or to justify the slavery of Indians in colonial Brazil, or to create legal systems of racial and social segregation. God reaffirms his desire to bless all humanity, all families, races, and ethnicities in the episode of Abraham's calling in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. This becomes very evident when we understand the revolutionary ministry of Jesus Christ. Another important observation is that if a person claims to love God but hates his brother, he is lying. This is because it is impossible to love God, whom we cannot see, if we do not love our brother whom we can see. This statement is found in First Epistle of John chapter 4 verse 20. Canaan had two sons, Sidon and Hate. From Canaan also descend the Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Archites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites and Hamathites. The territory of the Canaanites extended from Sidon to Gerar near Gaza, and to the east as far as Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim near Lasha. The Canaanites, according to biblical texts, practiced acts that were detestable in the eyes of God. They exerted influence through a false religious system and engaged in many sinful practices. As a result of their actions, they were punished. The descendants of Ham were notably powerful at the beginning of ancient world history. They had strong interaction with the Hebrews either as friends or enemies, such as for example the story of Moses, who was raised as an Egyptian prince. Moses, a biblical character of great importance, had various interactions with Ham's descendants during his life. He was raised as a prince in Egypt, which is one of Ham's descendant nations, through his son Mizraim. In addition, Moses led the Israelites on their journey to leave Egypt and enter the promised land of Canaan, which was also inhabited by Ham's descendants through his son Canaan. Now let's talk about Mizraim. Mizraim was Ham's second son and Noah's grandson. He settled in Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. The name Mizraim has Hebrew origins and refers to the region of Egypt that lies between the Sinai Desert and the Nile River. He is considered the ancestor of Egyptians. His name has great relevance in biblical texts. In Psalm 105 verse 23, Egypt is called the land of Ham. In Genesis chapter 10 it says that Mizraim is Ham's son and Noah's grandson. He is also known as the father of Egyptians. In Acts of Apostles chapter 7 it is mentioned that Moses was instructed in all Egyptian science and became a powerful man in words and deeds. The Bible describes the Egyptians as a prosperous and influential nation. According to Genesis, in chapters 45 and 46, Joseph, son of Jacob, was sold as a slave in Egypt and ended up becoming a high official of Pharaoh. He was responsible for managing Egypt's economy during a period of famine and prosperity. In the first book of Kings, chapter 9, verse 16, King Solomon established political and commercial ties with Egypt and married Pharaoh's daughter. To this day, Egyptian culture is an object of admiration and study by historians and archaeologists. Egypt had grand cities and majestic monuments, such as the famous pyramids, and a well-established policy. The Egyptians were also known for their religious practices, which included the worship of various gods and the ritual of mummification. In the book of Genesis, Mizraim is described as the ancestor of the Ludites, Anamites, Naphtuhites, Leabites, Pathrusites and Casluhites, from whom the Philistines descend, and also of the Caphtorites. Egypt was also known as the land of the Copts. Coptic is a language that flourished around the 3rd century in ancient Egypt. The Copts are an ethnic religious group in Egypt, descendants of the ancient Egyptians and practitioners of the Coptic Orthodox Church. They have a close relationship with Egypt's history and culture, including writing. Coptic writing is an adaptation of the Greek alphabet with some additional letters from Demotic, an ancient Egyptian form of writing. It was used by Egyptian Christians to write the Coptic language, which is the last phase of the ancient Egyptian language. Coptic writing was important for preserving many religious and literary texts in Coptic, including many biblical manuscripts. To this day, ancient Coptic churches still exist in Egypt. Continuing, let's talk about Cush, Ham's eldest son and Noah's grandson. The word Cush has Hebrew origin and probably means black. Cush settled in northeastern Africa. His name seems to have a relationship with the African continent, more precisely to the regions of Ethiopia and Nubia from biblical times. Currently, countries such as Eritrea, Sudan, Somalia and Djibouti also have characteristics that define the ancestry of this people commonly called Kushite. The name Cush literally means black. He and his brother Put were ancestors of black African peoples. Their descendants inhabited the place that the Bible calls the land of Cush, as described in Genesis chapter 2. The ancient Greeks referred to the inhabitants of the kingdom of Cush as Ethiopians, meaning burnt faces or black faces. Later on, the term Cush came to be used specifically to refer to Ethiopia. The legendary kingdom of Cush, also known as ancient Nubia, was an important African state from antiquity that existed approximately between 2000 BC and 350 AD. It began on the Nubian Plateau, present-day Sudan, and its capital was Napata city. The Kushites had a polytheistic religion in which their gods were anthropomorphic beings that mixed human and animal characteristics. The Sphinx at Giza is an example of anthropomorphism. They also believed in life after death and buried their dead, mainly kings and priests, in pyramid tombs. It is interesting to note that Sudan is the country with the largest number of Kushite pyramids built and preserved, with approximately 255 monuments, surpassing Egypt, which has 138. Due to relations between Egyptians and Kushites, both peoples shared many beliefs and ceremonies. Although there were differences in rituals and how burials were performed, Kushite pyramids were similar to Egyptian ones, with narrower bases and more pointed bodies being considered lower, with heights varying from 6 to 30 meters. The kingdom of Cush was known for its mineral wealth, especially gold. The Nubian region has always been an important trading post between nations located in Central Africa and peoples on the shores of the Mediterranean. The economy of the Kingdom of Cush was extremely dynamic and diversified, based on agriculture along the Nile River, maritime trade in the Red Sea, and handicrafts with objects made of gold, ivory, and ebony. Metallurgy was an important source of trade for the Kushites in antiquity. In the Nubian region, blast furnaces produced on a large scale, taking advantage of iron reserves and easy access to fuels. Gold also played an important role in the trade relations of the Kushites with Romans and Egyptians. During the dynasty of Kushite pharaohs, Napata served as the capital of this kingdom. It was a period in which livestock farming prospered significantly, with the Kushites owning large herds of goats, sheep, horses, and moors. The Kushites had an irrigation system called shaduf. The shaduf is a very effective irrigation tool. They used it to transport water from a source to land or to another channel or basin. It is a simple machine that works like a lever, lifting water from a river, canal or reservoir into a well. This water was used for irrigation, domestic and animal use. This wooden structure has existed since 3000 BC. The Kingdom of Cush had several important cities besides Napata and Meroe, including Nubs, Naga, Dangola, Faris, Argos, Kawa and Soba. The political system in Cush was more democratic and modern than that of its neighbors. While neighboring kingdoms had dynasties in which the sons of pharaohs succeeded their fathers by divine right, in Cush kings were generally elected by votes from political, military and religious leaders. The Candaces were powerful queens of the Kingdom of Cush, also known as Nubia or Ethiopia, who ruled independently without interference from male nobles. The word Candace is a Latinized version of the title Candake, meaning Queen Mother or Queen of Ethiopia. These queens were known for their strength, wisdom and leadership and often led their armies into battle. They ruled the kingdom of Cush during a period of great prosperity and power and left a lasting legacy in African history. In the book of Acts of the Apostles, in chapter 8, in the passage known as Philip and the eunuch, a Candace is mentioned. An angel of the Lord said to Philip, "Go south to the desert road that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza." He set out and found an Ethiopian eunuch, an important black official in charge of Candace's treasures, Queen of Ethiopians. This man had gone to Jerusalem to worship God, and on his way home he was reading the book of Isaiah in his chariot. The Ethiopian official was deeply touched by the gospel of Jesus Christ. He was reading the book of Isaiah in his chariot when he was approached by Philip, who explained the scriptures and shared with him the good news of Jesus Christ. This transformative encounter led the Ethiopian official to accept Christian faith and be baptized. This highlights the transformative power of Jesus Christ's gospel. To this day, many populations in East and Central Africa have historical ties to the ancient kingdom of Cush, and Cushite cultural heritage can still be found in their traditions, languages, and rituals. In Genesis 10, the biblical text mentions the descendants of Cush, including Sheba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, and Sabtika as sons of Cush, and Sheba and Dedan as sons of Rama. Cush was also the father of Nimrod, who is described as the first great conqueror of the world. With God's help, he became a famous hunter, and that is why it is said, "Be like Nimrod, who with the help of the Lord was a great hunter." At first, his kingdom included the cities of Babylon, Erech and Akkad, all in Shinar. Later, Nimrod went to Assyria and built the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth-ir, Calah and Rezin, which is between Nineveh and the great city of Calah. It is interesting to note that Nimrod is often associated with the construction of the Tower of Babel in the Bible. Nimrod was a biblical character, son of Cush, grandson of Ham and great-grandson of Noah. He is described as the first powerful warrior on earth who established an empire in Mesopotamia. He was the founder of 4 cities in the land of Shinar, Babel, Erech, Akkad and Calneh, which later became part of Babylon. Shinar, currently the region south of Iraq. He is also associated with the construction of the Tower of Babel, a project that challenged divine authority and caused confusion of languages. He is considered a hero of hunting and war, but also a tyrant and rebel against God's principles. He has been the subject of various interpretations and legends throughout history, both in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and other traditions. Put is the last son of Ham mentioned in the Bible. His name means, a bow, and it seems that he had some connection with ancient Libya located in North Africa. In 3 passages in the Bible, Put is associated with Libyans, both in the Greek version of the Septuagint and in the Latin Vulgate. Although Put is mentioned elsewhere in the Bible, his descendants are not specifically named. However, it is known that his descendants militarily supported Egypt, acted as mercenaries in Tyre's armies, and contributed to this city's power. The prophet Ezekiel also prophesied that Put would be involved in Gog's forces during an apocalyptic battle. Flavius Josephus says that Put is the ancestor of Libyans, while Isaac Newton in his studies on Greek mythology and the Bible associates Put with Antaeus, a giant son of Poseidon and Gaia. According to legend, Antaeus forced people crossing Libya's desert to fight him, and these confrontations almost always ended with his opponent's death. Another association made is with Atlas, one of Zeus' condemned titans to hold up heaven forever, although he has been more commonly linked to Atlas Mountains in northwest Africa. The formation of countries in the North African region happened over many years and was influenced by migrations, invasions, colonization, and cultural development. However, the populations descended from Ham are the inhabitants of the modern countries of the region, which include Algeria, Egypt, Libya, Morocco, Mauritania, Sudan, Tunisia, and Western Sahara. Africa is an immense continent, home to a wide variety of ethnic groups with unique cultures and traditions. Scholars and researchers have contributed to our understanding of the origins of African peoples, revealing historical connections and migratory movements that have shaped Africa as we know it today. Exploring Africa's history is extremely important for several reasons. Africa is a continent rich in history and culture, and studying its history allows us to have a new perspective on human history and see the world in a different way. In addition, studying Africa's history also allows us to learn from the past and build a better future for everyone. Always remember to seek deep knowledge in the Word of God, for it is an inexhaustible source of wisdom. In it is available the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel, share the video so that others can watch it and leave your like. It is very important to us. God bless you. See you soon.